Who said you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Hello, gals, and welcome to Sober Living Snippets, where we live alcohol-free so we can heal those relationships, feel youthful again, ditch regret and shame, and a whole lot more. I'm Becca Jacobson, and it is snippet time. If you're new in snippet land, welcome aboard the snippet train. Things will never be the same. I really like to say that because it's true. There's your life before snippet land and your life after snippet land. There's your life before you work with Becca and your life after you work with Becca. Nothing will ever be the same. Okay, what are we talking about today? Today, I am going to share with you some of my most embarrassing, what do I call them? My most embarrassing past habits. And I'm not talking about alcohol and drugs. Those are all in my book. Go read my book. I had some bad habits, girls. No, you know what? I'm going to share one that's actually more embarrassing because, I feel like I really should have known better. But it's just who I became, and it's taken me a long time to be able to see myself clearly, to see what I'm about to share with you. Now, for background on this, when we come into our sober living journey, very quickly we start feeling much better. But I want you to know, and I want you to believe me when I say that year by year, you get more clarity, more growth, more understanding. So I'm in my 7th year of sobriety. And I thought by now things would just sort of even out. First couple of years maybe, or definitely the first year things are volatile. But I thought by now I would just be kind of quote unquote a normal person who doesn't drink. But guess what? Because I've chosen a life of growth as opposed to stagnation, a life that it sometimes includes transition, but is always, always moving towards growth. And because my intention is to grow until the day they put me in the box, that intention to growth alone guarantees that you've got exciting new self-discoveries waiting for you in the background, just waiting for you. And you get to this point where you're like, well, surely I've seen, surely that I'm kind of there. You keep kind of thinking you're going to arrive somewhere. You just don't arrive anywhere because life is a never-ending journey of learning. And so one of the things that it's taken me quite a while to learn, and yes, I'm embarrassed about this, is that my ego is what held me back. Now, that's not earth-shattering news. That's not rocket science. But in a particular way, you can tell I'm kind of putting this off because I don't want to say it. Okay, ready? I'm going to say it. Okay. Gals, I was not teachable. I was not teachable. I was too arrogant, too egotistical, but more importantly, too afraid. So that is actually what today's snippet's about. It's taken me a little while to get there, but today's snippet is about the importance of remaining teachable. We must be teachable. And I got to tell you, one of the most humbling things that's happening for me in my world right now is the women that come and work with me are so much more humble and teachable than I ever was. I look at them and I'm humbled. I'm like, Becca, if you could have been half this open to suggestion, half this open to trust, half this willing to be vulnerable, you could have grown so much more quickly, so much sooner. Because the women that come into my world are so brave. They trust me, and that alone just makes my heart want to burst with gratitude. And I can feel their trust, and that's a responsibility I take very seriously. And I know you're hearing this, gals. You know who you are. This is how I feel when I look at you in our weekly Zoom meetings. I think, wow, I'm learning so much from these women because I just always, maybe it was my background, having been, having the life that I had as a prostitute from the age of 18 to 32 really made me very cynical and very untrusting. I was afraid to trust people, afraid to be vulnerable, very afraid to be vulnerable. You can't be vulnerable in that lifestyle, right? And so when I see you come in and you just trust me, and there you are just trusting me, and you're willing to be vulnerable and share and love each other and help each other. And I think, oh my God, I could not have done that back in the beginning. I couldn't have even been one of you. It's embarrassing, but true. And that's one of the reasons it took me so freaking long to get where I am. I'm happy to say, gals, that I do believe that I've gotten over that and I am teachable, but sometimes it tries to sneak up on me again because I'm always growing and I don't grow alone. So I have more than one coach because I want a coach for my professional life. So for example, I have a podcast coach teaching me how to reach you, how to talk to you, how to connect with you, how to be good at this, because I want to be good at this. Hey, I'm an English professor by trade. What do I know about podcasting? Well, after 2 years of snippets, I know quite a bit. But, in the beginning, I need to be teachable. And sure enough, my podcast coach is younger than me. And there comes the ego in wanting to say, oh, what could this kid possibly know? It's those types of thoughts that have held me back all my life. This ego of mine that is afraid to just trust and be open and vulnerable and teachable. And I have a funny feeling that there are some of you out there more like me. And I also know that some of the women who join me feel more like that. And yet I see you being willing. I see you putting that aside and saying, no, I'm going to trust this woman. So far, she hasn't lied to me. And the result of being teachable, my dear, is profound growth. Not only that, but loving relationships that we can't have if we refuse to trust and be teachable and open and willing to say, this person has been there before me and they're willing to share the path with me. I'm going to trust them. This was my biggest downfall. You now know Becca's Achilles heel. This was it. And yet I didn't know it. I didn't know it. I just thought I have to protect myself. Whatever happens, I must protect myself. And that means I was always cynical. Now, what does that look like? Let's do a little test here. Test yourself and see, are you cynical? When I say that, what I mean by that is always on guard. When somebody's talking or somebody who may be the potential that can help me, for example, the many drug and alcohol counselors I had over the years, I never opened my heart to them. No wonder they couldn't help me. I mean, it was partly that and partly that talk therapy was never going to work for me, and I can see that now. But I didn't exactly go in there with an open heart and say, I'm here, help me. I'd sit there sort of with my arms crossed thinking, go ahead and impress me, I dare ya. Like, who the hell are you? Who can help someone like that? Like, someone like that can't be helped. And so I really, really want this snippet to touch those of you who might have some of that in you. I think all of us have some of it to some degree. But if you've got some of that, I'm not saying throw down your guard to every human you meet and make yourself vulnerable, because we do have to be careful. There are people out there who will hurt us. But let's be discerning about it. And when we find someone we feel in our hearts we can trust them and we want to trust them and they have something they can offer us, let's be willing to take down that armor, throw aside the cynicism, open the heart, and be teachable. Because that's what's going to take us into the realm of making this last era of our lives, which is what we're in, gals, the best by far, bar nothing, we've experienced. I didn't ask her permission, but I'm going to share a little bit from a client who's just coming to the end of her time with me. She's a therapist, and this is a woman with more humility than I've ever had in my life. There she is, a therapist, a mature woman like me, a retired woman. So she's done it for a long, long time. And yet she's willing to open her heart to me, trust me, and follow me to heal her problem with alcohol. That takes profound humility. And I have so much respect for her and other women like her, which is all of you. Because the truth is, I meet with women before they join my program. And if I sense someone who's not going to be able to be teachable, I can't help them. And so that's where I have to draw the line. It's not judgment. It's not me going, oh, look at you. You're all... Because it's me. I see it. I recognize it. I know exactly what to look for because it's a mirror for me. But for those of you who might, like me, have this propensity to cynicism and lack of trust and unteachableness, if that's a word, this snippet is for you, gals. Here is the hurdle that you must overcome. Be careful. Find someone. Of course, you want to keep yourself safe, but not so safe that you're stuck in a hard shell that no one can reach you, no one can help you, and you never get to experience what it really is like to open your heart to other women. That's another thing that usually goes hand in hand with this. Women like me who are cynical also don't trust and therefore are never able to experience what it's like to be in a small and safe community of other women. I didn't trust women. I didn't feel safe around them. And I judged women. But it's so hilarious because the reason I judged them is because I judged myself. How could I possibly expect any woman to be my friend when I was a prostitute for 13 years? And so I pushed them all away. I judged them and said, they're not going to want to know me because of my past, and so we won't even try. And that means I've had a very, very lonely life until the last 7 years. So I encourage you to consider, are you teachable? Are you willing to be open and at least give it a whirl? Are you willing to open your heart and be vulnerable and experience what it's like to have true transformation with other women who are so loving and open and humble? Because that, my dear, is the ticket to your freedom. That's the ticket to your freedom. I'm so honored that you're in my world. You just have no idea. And if you'd like to be in my world a little bit deeper, please go to the show notes and sign up today to get your Sober Living letters. This is me sending you supplemental emails in addition to your snippets. You can think of the snippet as the what and the letter as the how. These come out on Mondays. I'll be honest, sometimes I don't get to them till Tuesdays, but they will come. And in between, I also send other resources. I invite you to events. I do not send junk. I do not send spam. Get yourself on my email list, gals, because it's just part of Snippet Land. Go to the show notes and do that right now. When you do, I'll immediately send you a copy of my book, my international best-selling memoir, and at the same time, I'll immediately send you a breathing guide so you can learn 2 foundational breathing techniques that will keep you safe in moments of high emotion. Thank you for being in my world, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for popping in. Be sure to come back tomorrow so we can keep your head on straight. Sending you buckets of love.